Ooh, hello. Welcome in, everyone. Happy Monday. I am live right here, Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio in Santa Clara. Adam, I miss you. I wish you were here. How's it going? How you doing?
Yeah, lucky that you were there, apparently.
I know, right up the street.
Yeah, I guess there was some bad behavior by me last year that got me banned from going this year. I don't know what I did, but apparently I was not able to go this year.
We all got the memos. Producer Swing sent out the memos. He said, yeah, Adam's not going. There's no chance. So I don't know what you did. You have to say, you have to apologize. It was, you know what? It was Emmitt Smith, I think. You meeting your best friend.
Oh, that was the peak. So they said, that's it. It's not going to get any better. So
yeah,
you can't
go. They said no more Cowboys for Adam. He got to meet his couple Cowboys, and that was it.
You know, I know what's going to happen now. Michael Irving is going to be there, and you're going to get to interview him because that's my guy. I loved Emmitt Smith, but Michael Irving was my favorite Cowboy of the 90s.
We passed him last year, didn't we?
No,
he was walking around or no?
Really? I didn't see him.
I don't know. I can't remember now. If I see him, I will ask him to do a video for you, almost like a cameo, and say, hey, can you tell Adam Ronis that he's the best? How's that?
Yeah.
Perfect.
80, I got 88 in my emails, 88 because it's all because of Michael Irvin. I mean, it's fortunate that Des Bryant is 88 too. I did get to see Des Bryant and play flag football with him though at that expo a couple years ago.
That was cool. That's why I was surprised when we were here last year because we did amazing things last year at the Super Bowl in New Orleans. But I was surprised you didn't bring up. You were like, yeah, I played against some of you guys. Like, come on, what are you doing?
Yeah, I forgot about that with Des.
How can you forget about that?
Well, at that moment I did. We had a lot going on. We were interviewing a lot of great people.
It was amazing. And that's what, hopefully we get to do here this week. But I'm so excited to be here, Adam. There's a buzz. It's in downtown San Francisco. So I've been getting my walks in. You'd be so proud of me. Yesterday, I walked like 14,000 steps.
Damn, you're doing more than me because of the cold.
I know. You have to get it up, Adam. Come on. Let's go. Because you got to get your shoes on. Yeah, it's great here, and it's really nice. I've got Sam Darnold to my left, by the way. There's a huge poster. Sam Darnold is right to my left, looking down on me, and I know
that's any ghosts behind him?
Stop! What are you doing? It's a sign. I see him. He's going to be looking at me all week. I posted a photo at Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis over there on X. He's going to be looking at me all week, and I think that's a sign. They're going to win. Seahawks by 10. That's my final prediction.
Wow, I thought you were going to wait until Friday, but here we are on a Monday giving the predictions. Seahawks by 10.
I think everyone kind of knew where I was going with it. Maybe it'll change, but
yeah, it's a little with the heart, I would say.
I think it's all with the heart, if we're going to be totally honest, Adam. But we are here. I'm here, Radio Row, and it is so exciting. So hopefully we get some people that we get to talk to throughout the week, and it's just going to be really fun, Adam. As the week goes on, it's just going to get louder, and more people get here. So that's the fun part about doing this over here is that all the people, just come over here and hopefully we get to talk to some of them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously different time. You're on the West Coast, so it's a little earlier there. Last year, I mean, by the time we were on air, there were just so many people around, and it was definitely a lot of noise and a lot of hype. But, yeah, you're there right now. It's early on the West Coast. You're used to being up this early, though. It's nothing
perfect
for you.
I know. It was dark outside walking here. I was like, oh, geez. I was like, man, I could just go right back to bed. But we didn't. We're here, and we are ready to go Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Appreciate everyone, as always, hanging out with us on this Monday morning. Don't worry, Adam. I don't need to look anything up. It is a Monday morning. So we do have some news that we have to get through before, of course, breaking down this Super Bowl and what our expectations are as the week goes on. But we had the last two, it looks like, hires for NFL head coaching positions. We can start with the one that is official, as Ian Rappaport likes to say. The Cardinals are hiring Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur as their new head coach. If the name sounds familiar, yes, they are related. They are brothers, but they're going after Mike LaFleur as their new head coach, 38 years old. He spent the last 3 seasons, Adam, as the offensive coordinator of the Rams. So they led the NFL in points per game, yards per play, expected points added per play in 2025. You can keep going. We know the season that this team had in 2025, especially behind Matthew Stafford, who gave them an MVP performance all season long. We're going to learn, who the MVP is later this week, but it feels like it is definitely his for the taking. So this is a hire that I think they were after Clint Kubiak, and we are going to talk about how Clint Kubiak looks like he's going to the Raiders. But I actually don't mind this hire for Arizona and for us, for fantasy football purposes. Not bad to get another offensive-minded head coach in the NFL leading a team like this.
Yeah, he didn't call plays for the Rams.
Yeah.
That's the one thing, though, but did oversee a very talented team and comes from a good coaching tree. Another McVay hire here. But there's a lot of work to do in Arizona, and it's a really difficult division with San Francisco and Seattle there as well. So, and the Rams, of course.
It's a we'll see for you.
Is what?
It's a we'll see. Like, we'll see if it works.
I mean, you obviously need the talent, and, you know, who is the quarterback going to be is the big question. You know, a lot of signs point to Kyler Murray being gone. If that's the case, Jacoby Brissett is under contract. Would they go with him? And if so, yeah, it was great for fantasy, which we talk about, but they just kept losing games. Defensively, they were terrible, 29th in points allowed. They do have some talent there. They had a lot of injuries on the defensive side, but this is just a tough job. Clearly, it was the last hire. They wanted Kubiak. He decided to go to Vegas, and it's like, all right, yeah, LaFleur will take you.
Yeah, we like you.
Yeah, it's just it's a tough job, as we have seen there with the owners and the lack of spending, and just you know, it's good for him, obviously, at 38 years old to get a head coaching gig, but it's a tough spot.
It's definitely one that's not as pretty or as sexy as the other head coaching gigs that were out there, right? We talked about how, oh man, if whoever goes to the Giants, you know, it might not look great right now, but they've got Jaxon Dart, you know, Lamar Jackson was up for grabs, Josh Allen. And so with Arizona, you know, the big question is going to be on Kyler Murray. He was taken with the first pick overall in 2019. With that NFL draft, and he signed a 5-year, $230 million extension in 2022. So we know that he was sidelined most of last season because of injuries. He injured his foot in week 5, and then Jacoby Brissett came in, and he just kind of took over. Now, we have to remember, though, for us in fantasy, Jacoby Brissett was amazing. For the Arizona Cardinals, they did not win with Jacoby Brissett. So that's going to be the big question of if they do want to continue on with Jacoby. For us in fantasy, we would love it because we saw, you know, what happened with the guys around him. Trey McBride was absolutely phenomenal. Trey McBride scored 100 more fantasy points than the second closest tight end to him, and he obviously finishes the overall tight end 1. But Arizona's needs go a lot deeper than that, Adam. They've got some unfortunate injuries that happened late, like Walter Nolan happened late. Garrett Williams, with his Achilles, that was in December. So that could sideline them for most of next season, and so they're kind of in a crossroads for me, Adam. You know, the one thing that we're looking at is who's their quarterback next season, and are we willing to draft? I think the big question is Marvin Harrison Jr. because Michael Wilson, to me, I'm not sure about you, Adam, but I just can't. I don't know if I can go back because it feels like he only had those great games when Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't in there, and so that's the thing we really have to look at. I know people, and hey, he was injured a lot, by the way, so we could say, yeah, Michael Wilson's going to be a good pickup because Marvin has been injured and just hasn't been good in his career. I'm curious where you kind of stand with both of those wide receivers.
Well, one of the injuries for Harrison was an appendectomy, right?
Yes. Yeah, and then so that took him out for 2 weeks.
Yeah, so that's kind of fluky. But I do think with Michael Wilson, it's difficult to go back to him and believe that he can produce again because we have seen it. When Harrison is on the field, he just did not get that volume as opposed to when Harrison was out. And they're clearly going to make it a point to feature Harrison in the offense. It'll be his 3rd year in the league. And you do have Trey McBride, who's going to get a massive target share. And that's really what you're concerned about. Who is the quarterback to make sure that they can get McBride the football. McBride's going to put up fantasy numbers regardless who the quarterback is. The question is, though, the touchdowns, and we saw it was a stark difference when it was Kyler Murray to Jacoby Brissett. We were all sitting here like, maybe Trey McBride can't score touchdowns going back to college. This has been a thing for him. And then all of a sudden, Jacoby Brissett comes in there, and it's every week, touchdown McBride,
yeah, it wasn't
touchdown
funny
McBride.
Anymore. Yeah. It just a lot needs to happen in Arizona. Of course, it's going to start with Kyler Murray. I'm going to be honest, though, Adam. I wouldn't be shocked if he stayed. To be totally honest with you, because the caliber of quarterback out there right now, if we're talking about free agents or even, and we've said this before and we're going to say it a lot in the offseason, or even rookies coming in, not necessarily amazing. Like, you've got Daniel Jones is out there and you've got other guys, but it feels like Daniel Jones might go back to Indianapolis. So I know people are saying that Kyler Murray's on the move, but I wouldn't be shocked if we need to sit here and think about Kyler Murray being there for 2026. And I still want to believe in him so badly, Adam, but you always pull me back and you're like, hey, we've got to be careful with this. And it's obvious why. He just has not performed. I think, 2 seasons ago when I was drafting him, he finished as QB 12 overall. But that was really why we talk about points per game and overall fantasy points. Because if you were a manager with him 2 years ago, it was awful. And then, of course, last year you couldn't really play him. So I'm just saying, in the back of my mind, I just have this feeling that he might actually stay in Arizona.
It's possible. I mean, the one thing we can say about Murray outside of that year that you alluded to, he's been a top fantasy quarterback, and a lot of it has to do with his ability to run. And at times during that season, we saw he was reluctant to run because there were a lot of opportunities when I was watching games and I'm like, okay, he has a lane, he could take off, and he wouldn't. So I think he mentioned it too, because he was coming off the surgery, that he was a little hesitant. Then last year again, though, he got injured. So, he's not the biggest quarterback, but we have seen in fantasy throughout his career, for the most part, he does finish as a QB1. But again, the path to get there is important to look at, because that season there were some really down games that just hurt you on a given week. So I guess there's always the possibility, because the quarterback market is so bad. And, if you're a first-year head coach, do you really want that bridge quarterback at Jacoby Brissett?
Exactly.
But but they also probably realize too that there's just no way they can turn it around immediately. We see surprises in the NFL all the time, but when you look at this team and the roster and that division they're in, it's really difficult to envision them just making that leap to top of the division so quickly.
Yeah, especially the division that they're in. I mean, and what we just saw from that whole division this season. So again, he's going to inherit, and we're talking about the Cardinals hiring Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur. He was not calling plays for the Rams, but we just know how good of a season that they had, and that's something that can't be understated of what they were able to do this year with Matthew Stafford. They led the NFL in points per game, yards per play, and expected points added per play in 2025. So those are things that we look at here, but he's got a lot to handle. And the big question is going to be to start Kyler Murray, and then you go from there. We know that we're going to be drafting Trey McBride. Everyone else, even the running backs, Adam, I was thinking about this. We have not talked about the running backs, but it will be curious, who they add in the draft. They've got a good draft pick. They might just go best player available at that point, but we're going to pay attention to it. The other head coaching hire that I definitely want to get to here is the Raiders. Adam, they didn't listen to me. I sent notes. I said he stinks. Clint Kubiak stinks. You don't want him. They didn't listen to me. What's going on here? They're expected to hire Clint Kubiak, of course, after this game on Sunday. And so this was per Adam Schefter. I think he tweeted about this yesterday. So the deal between the two can't be finalized until after the Super Bowl for very obvious reasons, but they met on Saturday after Kubiak met with the Arizona Cardinals, and he told them that he intends to work out a deal with Las Vegas after the Super Bowl. So that stinks. I don't like it. I hate it, actually. Worst hire of the whole coaching cycle.
Well, yeah, that's coming from a Seahawks fan, as Kubiak helped them to be third in the league in points. And we saw that offense looked really good. He got Sam Darnold to play at a good level consistently throughout the year. He did it last year with Minnesota with Darnold, but going to a new team first year, getting them to the Super Bowl. So we knew that he was going to be a leading candidate, but teams had to wait. And we know that Tom Brady is a huge fan, as he said during that broadcast, just praising Kubiak relentlessly.
I'm mad. I don't like it, Adam, because now we don't, we were coming in knowing that we had at least 18 new offensive coordinators. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but that's obviously changed because Clint Kubiak is going to be gone.
I think Seattle, it's 21. Is
it 21 now?
Yeah.
That is
insane,
Adam,
right?
When was the last time has that ever happened? I need to look that up, because for us in fantasy, that is such a huge deal that we're not going to feel the repercussions of that until we get closer to July. And I think there's going to be a lot of unknowns for us this coming season, because at least year after year, when we have, the same coaches over there, we kind of know what the scheme's going to look like, how they use their players. And for some guys going to different teams and all these different offensive coordinators, again, we say this all the time, but that's why you want to stay locked in with us, and hopefully you can throughout the offseason and at fantasylife.com, because we're going to learn a lot, and we're going to have to really be paying attention over these next few months. 21 new offensive coordinators this year.
Yes, it is a lot, and Kubiak will have his work cut out for him. We know how bad that offensive line is. I know the immediate reaction is Ashton Genty. Yes, now we did feel good about him regardless, because we know how talented he is, and we know how the offensive line just really brought him down. You can be a great coach, you still need the personnel. So they're and, you know, more than likely, number one pick, Fernando Mendoza, so a rookie quarterback coming in. So it could be a bumpy ride the first year. Again, that's another division, too, where you have Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes coming back. The Chargers, who have been a good team, and you got Harbaugh there. You bring in McDaniel, so you expect the offense to get better, especially if their offensive line is healthy. And Denver just went to the AFC Championship game. So another situation where the division is loaded. But Kubiak, obviously, a lot of success here comes from a coaching family as well.
Yeah, 38 years old. So all jokes aside, I really do like this hire. I think he was someone that if teams were willing to wait, like the Raiders, and we heard Tom Brady talk about him quite a bit, that it was going to be good. This is his 6th different franchise in as many seasons. So he's been in Minnesota, he's been in Denver, he's been in San Francisco, New Orleans, and now the Seahawks. So he took this team, he took Seattle to new heights, and we know that he really helped unlock JSN, and he really did. It didn't feel like it during the season, but now this, you know, as the postseason has gone on, Kenneth Walker has looked great, but JSN and what he was able to do, 1,793 receiving yards, unanimous first team All-Pro, and he could be player of the year this season, and what he was able to do with Sam Darnold. I think this is one of my favorite hires, even though they took away my guy, Clint Kubiak, but it's fine. They're trying to distract us, Adam. That's the thing. They're trying to distract the Seahawks. You see the team going up for sale? You see that news? Yeah. I think that's Vrabel. I think Vrabel's, you know, coming in and saying, "Hey, listen to this." Trying to distract them.
You have to do whatever you can to get any slight edge to take their focus off the game. So I commend him for doing that.
It's not going to work. It's not going to work, Adam. I'm just putting it out. I've got Sam Darnold to my left. Not in real life, though, everyone. It's a poster of him, but I'm talking to him. I'm going to talk to him the whole week and let him know that it's okay.
That it's okay to throw an interception?
Stop. Why would you say that?
That was the big bet we were going in on, right?
I'm not doing that.
Could you do that? You wouldn't be able to do that?
No, I'm not. I'm putting only good energy. What are the odds of him to not throw an interception? I'll put one on that.
Oh, it's probably like minus 250.
See, there we go.
I don't know.
I like that. I like that. Oh my gosh. But two hires made over the weekend. Again, Clint Kubiak going over. It looks like with the Raiders, again, nothing can be finalized until after this Super Bowl. But Adam Schefter did report that yesterday. And then you've got Mike LaFleur as the new head coach, Rams offensive coordinator, not to be confused with Green Bay's LaFleur, but he is going over to the Arizona Cardinals. So things to watch out for. A lot of offensive coordinator moves. I've got a couple more pieces of news because I want to talk to you about the Vikings firing their GM. And of course, we're going to get into this Super Bowl, breaking them down, my top 20 running backs as well. We're going to do all of that today. It's a great Monday. We're going to do it all coming up here next. Oh my gosh, the lucky lasagna does. Adam, I was at dinner last night. You know what they had on the menu? Lasagna.
Oh, no, you did not get it, please.
No, I didn't. Okay, I said it's
good.
Not time yet, but you know, it's calling to me. How many restaurants serve lasagna? Come on.
Well, most Italian restaurants, I figure, do.
All right, that's true. But I found one anyway. It was fantastic.
So what did you wind up eating then?
Pizza.
Pizza?
Pizza. It was really good. Yeah, it was really good.
For dinner?
Yeah. It was like nice pizza.
To me, pizza's more of a lunch thing.
Oh, really?
Can I eat it for dinner? Yes. Like I was at a friend's house for the first round of the playoffs, and he ordered pizza for dinner. Obviously, I'm not going to say, no, I don't want it. He ordered it. So cool. But to me, pizza's more of a lunch thing.
Oh, see, no, I'm good with it for dinner. It was lovely. Caesar salad, some focaccia bread. Oh, it was good. It was good.
Okay.
And then lasagna was on the menu, and I said, "Oh, this is the Seahawks week again. Seahawks by 10. By the end of the week, it might be 20. I'm unsure.
I have Patriots by 10.
Stop. No,
Just
you
kidding.
Don't. Oh my gosh. By the way, I am getting a lucky lasagna this week from my friend Todd. Sent me a message over there on X. Ferrazzani's Pasta and Market. If you're in Pasadena, that's where I'm going to go Friday. He's got something. He's got something waiting there for me. A little lasagna. So I'm gonna be good to go, Adam. I'm really excited about it.
Already being taken care of. Look at that.
Look at that. He said, I've got lasagnas at the shop. I said, I'm on my way. And then I couldn't go that week. So I said, I'll meet you after the Super Bowl because I didn't need to eat one over the weekend. There was no game. I didn't want to jinx it.
Yeah, you can't ruin what's working well. You got to stick to the script.
And then, let me tell you, I'm done with lasagna for the year. Maybe 2 years. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it, Adam. It's very filling. I can't. The leftovers, yeah, we're done with lasagna for the rest of the year. No more.
I can't blame you for that. Again, it's good. It's one of those things, though, that you don't eat very often. It is extremely filling as well.
Yeah, no kidding. So I am here in Santa Clara, or I should say San Francisco, downtown San Francisco at Radio Row, and so excited to be here. Make sure you guys are giving us a follow at Valenzuela17, at Adam Ronis over there on X. If you've got any questions, comments about the games going into this week, it's going to be a fun one. So I wanted to, Adam, really quickly, another piece of news that I just want your reaction to the Vikings firing their GM. So late in this process. Like, I saw that when I was coming into town. So the Vikings did fire their GM, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, and I just thought the timing, it's so late. And there were, rumors going around that it's because of, the draft capital, or the draft picks, I should say, and what they've done over the past couple of seasons, how they haven't really utilized those draft picks, letting Sam Darnold walk, letting Daniel Jones walk. I'm just really curious what you thought about when you saw that.
Well, the timing of it is very hard because he was at the Senior Bowl.
Yes, he was doing press conferences at the Senior Bowl like 2 days ago.
Yeah, so that's what's odd about it. Now, when you look back on it, they've had pretty bad drafts. I think I read something, they've got less production out of the 4 drafts except one NFL team. We all know about Sam Darnold being let go, and now he's in the Super Bowl with Seattle. You go to J.J. McCarthy, and let's not forget, too, they had Daniel Jones in the building last year let him go, and we see what he did in Indianapolis. So you see some of the things, and then I guess there's a lot of other things coming out. He obviously wasn't very experienced as in football to be anointed a GM. So, yeah, it's the timing of it, though, is what's weird.
Yeah, here's that stat. The Vikings have received only 172 starts from players drafted between 2022 and 2025. That's the second fewest in the league. And that's not necessarily great. Let's just say that. They are 0-2 in the postseason, because we can look at the regular season and it's a lot different. But they're 0-2 in the postseason, and they just haven't been very productive. I mean, and of course the McCarthy thing is going to loom over everyone's head when you see Sam Darnold, of course, in the Super Bowl. That makes it sting a lot more. And so I thought the timing as well. I just thought that was kind of crazy because they said they didn't want a knee-jerk reaction at him. That was the front office saying, hey, we wanted to do our due diligence, so that's why we saw him at the Senior Bowl. That's why we've seen him around over the past couple of weeks. But we'll wait and see for fantasy football. We'll just wait and see who they hire as their next GM. But I did think that was a little bit, crazy. Just late for the Vikings to fire their GM that late. But we'll see. Maybe it works for them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people, you're seeing the aftermath of the reporting, and a lot of people are saying they're not shocked that they let him go. The timing is what surprised everyone.
It's just really late. Yeah, it's just really late. So we'll see what they do. I mean, dare I ask you if we're drafting any? I mean, we're going to draft some Vikings players next season. It might not be, Jordan, I will say this too, Adam, like Jordan Mason, I was going through, and my top 20 running backs article is live at fantasylife.com. You know who's not in there? Jordan Mason or Aaron Jones, which is not shot. Nope. You can't even get me on the road, Adam. I'm locked in. I'm ready to go.
Well, I did get you. It was during break.
No,
I still have that video and audio. Okay, I'll send it to you.
No, I don't think you do.
I have it.
I don't remember that ever happening live on the air. So it
wasn't live on the air. It was during a break.
I don't think it counts then.
We record everything.
But those two running backs, obviously not inside my top 20, but Jordan Mason being someone that I was just really disappointed in last season, because when anyone drafted him, it was with the idea, and this was right, the process was right, that Aaron Jones would go down during the season at some point, and we never want injuries, but it was because of his injury history and his age. He turned 31 years old in December. And when he went down at him, Jordan Mason did nothing with those opportunities. And that was kind of disappointing, because in some drafts, he was going ahead of Aaron Jones for people. I made sure Aaron Jones was always off the board, but that was shocking what he wasn't able to do with those opportunities when Jones went down. Yeah,
it was very disappointing, because like you said, the best path to fantasy relevance for Mason occurred, because that was part of the reasoning for me. It was like, oh, Aaron Jones is older. He's coming off the biggest workload of his career. He's had a problem staying healthy. Green Bay knew him best and managed him. And, you know, a lot of times as fantasy players, we get upset. We're like, how come they're not giving this running back more work? And a lot of times it's because they want to make sure that that player stays healthy. They feel like the bigger workload doesn't necessarily translate to better fantasy production. You know, you could look, oh, well, this guy's averaged 4.8 yards per carry, but they only give him 170. Why don't they give him more? There's usually a good reason for that. And as fantasy players, we sit there, we're like, no, come on, give him more work. And that might have been the case with Aaron Jones. So Mason was why he was appealing. We also heard it would be 1A, 1B, and we also knew Mason had a good chance to get those goal line carries. And we saw him have success with San Francisco, even though almost any running back that is in that 49ers system produces, unless maybe when they get to the fifth or sixth string, which happened a couple years ago. But yeah, like Mason had a couple of decent games, but yeah, it wasn't good. And he wasn't involved in the passing game either at all. Even when Jones went out, like, he didn't have a game of more than 3 receptions. So yeah, it was disappointing. I did draft Jordan Mason in a couple leagues, like around 8, right? 7, 8, 9, somewhere in that range. You know, if you maybe waited on your RB2, Mason was in that area where you might have taken him and hoped to get some production out of him. But yeah, it was disappointing. He did average 4.8 yards per carry, which is great, but the yards weren't there. And again, when he had those workloads when Jones was out, we were disappointed. And a lot of those weeks, though, he was saved by a touchdown.
Yes. Oh, 1,000%. And that's what you had to hope, is that he just fell into the end zone, right? It was so hot and cold with him. And that was the most disappointing part. So again, I'm very curious to see where those guys, both of them, end up going in the beginning of drafts, because I do think it's going to be a little bit later, and then maybe we warm up to the idea. Again, my top 20 running backs live at fantasylife.com. They're not, I'll tell you where they're not. They're not inside the top 20. Adam, I will say so I had 2 players that I was really going back and forth on, because as we always talk about top 6, right? Top 7, top 8, so usually it's the same guys, right? You're going to see in my top 7 something like Ashton Genty, James Cook, Achane, Jonathan Taylor, CMC, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson. Bijan Robinson is my number 1 overall. After that, though, you know who I had a really hard time with was Bucky Irving, and trying to figure out where I wanted him. So right now I have Bucky Irving at 10, and it's another year, another offensive coordinator for Tampa Bay and the Buccaneers. They fired Josh Grizzard after 1 year. The offense finished 21st in yards per game, 18th in points scored per game, and Bucky Irving was also injured. He was not able to play the full season. We had 10 games from him due to the ankle injury, the shoulder injury, other things going on. But Adam, then I looked and I said, well, Rachaad White's set to hit free agency. If Rachaad White's not on this team next season, then how high could a ceiling be for Bucky Irving? So I've got him at 10, and I kind of like it, but I'm curious where you would have him.
Right now, yeah, in that area, that would be the case right now. Obviously, a lot can change, and it's difficult to take anything away from this past season, because I think the injuries were a big factor. Because I had Bucky Irving on only one team, and I was starved for help at running back. And when Bucky Irving came back, I'm like, okay, now this team can take off. And it just did not happen. He did not look the same. He did not have the same burst. He couldn't break long runs. His longest run when he came back was 32 yards. He was consistently under 4 yards per carry. So it just wasn't good. But I'm sure the injury was a factor. And I don't know if he was ever completely healthy. So it was a complete opposite of what we saw in his rookie year, when he was extremely efficient. Now, we couldn't expect that to repeat either. You know, those numbers were insane. So he's probably somewhere in the middle. But a healthy offseason will certainly help and give us more optimism heading into the season.
Yeah, and again, if Rachaad White is on the move, which I think he is, because remember he had those comments.
He's basically gone. I think it's pretty clear.
I don't think my head coach should be calling anything on defense. And you're like, ooh, yikes. Okay, okay, you're on the move for sure. But, you know, Rachaad White opening things up because of his potential absence, potential new team here, which means more opportunities on the way for Bucky Irving.
Well, also, does Sean Tucker continue to steer goal line carry? Because that was the thing that was a problem. I mean, that really hurt Bucky Irving. Like, we saw it initially a couple times, and then it became a common theme every single game where it was just like, oh, we're inside the 10, we're inside the 5. Here you go, Sean Tucker, get in there.
It was, he was a thorn on fantasy manager's side. We talked about it almost all year. So 2025, he had 86 carries, by far the most of his career. He had 320 yards. He played in 17 games, and he had 7 touchdowns. Yeah, 7 touchdowns and then 1 touchdown through the air. He really wasn't involved in the passing game. 8 receptions, 11 targets, 34 yards. But on the ground, 86 carries for 320 yards, 7 touchdowns. Yeah, that'll annoy you.
Oh, it did. If you had Bucky Irving, you were extremely annoyed because it got to the point, I think late in the season, you could have benched him. It was that bad because if you're not getting the goal line carries, and he wasn't heavily involved in the passing game either, we know Rashad White was, that really hurt Bucky Irving's value down the stretch of the season.
Yeah, it wasn't a good way to end. I'm back in, though. I'm going to say he's my RB10 for now. We'll see how he kind of moves. But yeah, I'm looking at him. So when he came back weeks 13, 14 against Arizona, against New Orleans, 16.1 fantasy points in both. And then he barely got over 10 fantasy points the rest of the way. And that's the most important time. Week 15 against Atlanta, at Carolina, at Miami. He scored 8, 7.1, 8.3. Well,
he got saved the first 2 games that he came back. The numbers were not good, efficient-wise. He had the rushing touchdown against Arizona, and then the next week against the Saints, he had a receiving touchdown. So that's why he got the double digits in PPR. After that, the next 4 games, he didn't score a touchdown, and that's why the numbers were so bad, because essentially he was just whatever rushing yards he got, they weren't very high. He did have 1 game where he caught 5 passes, the game against Miami, but yeah, I mean, he had games of 1, 0, and 1 reception in the last 4. So a lot of things went wrong. And it's tough because you were looking at it and you go, well, can I really bench a running back that's getting 18 to 20 touches? Because that's what he was getting. Unfortunately, most of those touches were on the ground. He wasn't picking up a lot of yards. He was struggling, and it leads to bad fantasy outputs.
Yeah, so I've got more. I want to talk through some of the guys ranked 12 through 20, though, because it's going to ruffle some feathers. I'm talking about guys that you'd say, why the heck is he ranked inside the top 20? I'm going to give you those names, though, and why I have them there. We're going to tell you them coming up next. This is Fantasy Life right here, Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio with you on this Monday. Adam didn't miss his flight. He just wanted to stay in the snow. He said, this is where I feel most comfortable. I want to go out there, freeze my toes off. Because he doesn't wear snow boots when he's walking. By the way, people, doesn't do that. Weird. And he just wanted to stay in the cold.
That's it. It's not comfortable to walk a long way in Timberland boots, man.
When I was in, well, okay, you know what? I'll give you that, because when I was in Boston a couple weeks ago, I only brought snow boots, and it was by the time it was evening time, it didn't feel very good.
So, gotta suck it up with the sneakers.
That's true.
That's true. I never missed a flight. You guys did not want me there because apparently
that's a lie.
Apparently, I was a little too rowdy last year. I don't know. I don't think I was, but anyway.
You met the famous Cowboys players, and you said, you know what?
Yeah, like no more taking shots with your former Cowboys heroes.
That was so fun. That has to be a top 5 moment, right?
Yeah,
top
definitely.
5 for sure.
I mean, I never thought that would happen. You know, things in life occur that you don't expect. And if you would have told me a couple years ago, yeah, you're going to take a shot with Emmitt Smith, like what?
On the air, by the way. And when I didn't take mine, he looked at me and he said, "You're not going to take that." I said, "I got to throw us to break. I gotta get going."
Really? You're that lightweight that one shot would affect you?
I didn't want to.
You didn't want to risk it?
Yeah, I didn't want to risk it. No.
One shot doesn't do anything to me.
Oh my gosh, you're so cool.
I am. Thank you.
I know you are. It's 45 here. I was freezing on the way over.
Oh, stop. 45 and freezing? I don't want to hear it.
Freezing.
We don't want to hear it.
I had 2 jackets on now.
You have
2 jackets.
Most of us on this show are on the East Coast dealing with a ton of snow, wind, and cold. And 45, you know.
You can come over here anytime you want.
We would love it if it was 45 degrees today.
All right. Well, I'm hoping it is. What do you got? 20?
It feels 18? Like 20 degrees right now.
It's warming up then. That's nice.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting a heat wave and we're in the 20s. Hitting 32 later today.
Oh my gosh, that's actually awful. Well, I wanted to finish things off with these top 20 running backs. My article live at fantasylife.com. That's where you can go subscribe to that newsletter and check out everything. But you know who I had a problem with? Ranking, Adam, was TreVeyon Henderson.
I knew it. Where do you have him?
15. RB 15. And I'm not hating it, to be honest with you, but wow, I had him at 11. I had him as low as 18. and then I just kind of settled on 15 because it felt right. But my goodness, that's a problem. Because why, when we're going into next season, would we not see what Rhamondre Stevenson has done these past 5 games? I mean, really since week 16, and say to ourselves, well, that's not going to happen again. It just feels like it is. He's under contract. He's not going anywhere. That's something that we know for sure. Why would we expect anything differently from Vrabel and this coaching staff that has obviously shown that it is Rhamondre Stevenson that is going to get, the 1A treatment?
Because I think he has 1 year of experience in the league. Pass protection has been a big issue for him.
Yeah.
So that's something that has to get better. But yes, he's still going to be as good as Rhamondre Stevenson has looked. We all know Henderson is going to go higher. People are going to be enamored with his talent and his ability to break big plays. Because if you look at the whole season, okay, he averaged 5.1 yards per carry. He had 9 touchdowns on 180 carries, caught 35 of 42 passes, and had a receiving touchdown. Now, the playoffs have really been brutal for Henderson. 2.4 yards per carry, 24 for 57. And we saw against Denver, he only played 4 snaps in that game, 3 carries for 5 yards. He's only had 2 receptions in the playoffs. So the playoffs, look, if you want Henderson, you like seeing this because it should hurt his stock, but it's probably not. I guarantee you when we start seeing these early drafts, you're not going to get a major discount, especially if he can break a big play in the Super Bowl. Now, the other factor is, look at these defenses they have faced. I mean, these have been some of the top defenses. We keep talking about it. They have faced 3 of the top 5 defenses in the postseason, and now they get another one in Seattle. So a rookie running back in those situations, it's tough. Now, the regular season was pretty good for him. Obviously, earlier in the year, it was bad because he was just not getting the opportunity to carry the football. So if you drafted him in round 3, round 4, he might have really hurt you to the point where maybe you didn't even get into the playoffs, because if you spent that early draft capital on him, you were playing him every week and you're like, all right, finally it has to happen. And then week 3, he got 14 touches. You're like, okay. Then it went back down to 9, 8. So, and then finally, Stevenson got banged up. It opened the door, and he had some big games, but the playoffs have really looked bad. But I think people are going to look at the opportunity for him to get a bigger workload. We can't dispute it, though. Stevenson has been better than him, especially in the playoffs.
1,000%, and it's not necessarily close. We have TreVeyon Henderson projected for 1 more fantasy point than George Holani for the Super Bowl.
So,
I mean,
do you think though that changes? Like, I haven't seen an explanation for what happened in Denver. My guess is with the weather that they just said, you know what, we'll go with the veteran. Stevenson had a fumbling issue, I guess, early in the year, and then it stopped. So it was also to the point. What do we like about Henderson? He can break long runs, right?
Yeah,
they weren't looking
explosive.
to do that in that game. They were like, you know what, with the weather and everything,
they didn't even care to score because they knew that Denver couldn't score.
Right. So maybe that was a factor in the usage of Henderson. Again, 4 snaps.
I just didn't think they needed him. I know, stunning. But here's the more stunning part is that TreVeyon Henderson right now, if you go look, he is going off the board at pick 45 in early 2026 best ball contests. Yeah. I mean, and Peter Overzet did a great job writing the newsletter this morning that you guys can go and check out, fantasylife.com. He even said, for him, in his opinion, he said, this is not egregious. And so he's actually liking that price right now, even though he's fully taken a back seat to Rhamondre Stevenson. I said week 16, Adam. I looked back. It's been since week 12. I mean, Henderson still finished the season with more yards and touchdowns than Rhamondre. 1,132 yards, 10 touchdowns versus 948 and 9. So I kind of understand it. That's why I put him where I did in my rankings, is because I said I can't put him any lower. And he's probably the guy, TreVeyon Henderson, that's going to rise the quickest throughout my rankings in the offseason. But I have him right now, RB 15. So that's behind guys like Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Kyren Williams.
Yeah, look, again, if you look at it, Henderson was still getting most of the touches if you look at the last few weeks. Now, obviously, it's changed in the playoffs. And they're probably just realizing, okay, Stevenson gives us a little bit more right now. And 25 carries for Stevenson last week. So he had 10 in the first round against the Chargers and then 16 against the Texans. So, 25 touches over the last 2 games for Stevenson. But this is a tough matchup for him here against Seattle. They might need Henderson's speed to potentially break a long run in what should be a competitive game and stay close. So, I still think Henderson, he could move up too.
For sure.
He's going to be a guy that I think you kind of go back and forth on because you're really just trying to figure out what the role is going to be. I think if we had this discussion a month ago, he might have been higher where we go, okay, all signs are pointing to him being the feature back. Look at what he's done. And then I think because of the playoffs and what we've seen with Stevenson, it's kind of put another thought in the back of people's minds like, well, not so fast. But I think it's still going to be Henderson.
We'll see. I tend to agree with you. My RB15, again, my article live at fantasylife.com. That's where you can go and check it out. I mentioned, though, that TreVeyon Henderson has only projected one more fantasy point than one George Holani. Let's go through some of our projections for that Super Bowl coming up this week. We're going to do that here next. Fantasy Life with you right here on this Monday morning. I am live in San Francisco getting ready for that Super Bowl. The Seahawks are here. I guess the Patriots are here as well, Adam. They showed up, I guess, whatever. It's not enough that they're taking the offensive coordinator from the Seattle Seahawks. They have to show up to the Super Bowl. It's fine.
And we remember how it worked out last time these teams met in the Super Bowl.
Would you stop? Why did you have to do that? I thought you weren't going to bring that up until Wednesday when we really start breaking it down.
I didn't get that memo. Sorry.
This is the revenge game that they need. They need to they're going to be good. Everything's going to be fine. No ghost for Sam Darnold. By the way, Sam Darnold to my left. Not actually. It's just a big sign of him. I'm telling you, though, he's looking right at me. He's saying, we're going to win by 10. I feel it. I feel it in my bones.
Good. I hope it happens for you.
Yeah, and Adam is not going through construction right now. That's me here. People are still setting up, so we're going to be good. But we are live at Radio Row here. FantasyLife.com is where you can go to check out all of our news, all of our articles, 100% free, and same with looking at our newsletter as well. I wanted to break down, Adam, because we were bringing up a little bit of our projections. So that is at FantasyLife.com as well. But just projections for this weekend that we're going to continue going through. But if you're looking at DFS plays, if you're looking at guillotines, guillotineleagues.com to go and do your last drafts with them. Yeah, the running back position, I will say it's a little bit bleak. I mean, basically, Adam, it's at the running back position and at the wide receiver position. It's Kenneth Walker and everyone else, and it's JSN and everyone else, which will be interesting to see how that actually ends up. But we can start with the running back since we just finished talking about TreVeyon Henderson, Rhamondre, Stevenson. So Stevenson is projected for 12.8 fantasy points. Xfinity best score, which we've talked about before, the ceiling, his best outcome, 20.8 in our projections. Kenneth Walker sitting at projected 16 median, 24.1 Xfinity best score. But it does feel like maybe one of the X factors would be a TreVeyon Henderson. If he was able to step up in this game, they're going to need some kind of spark because on the ground we know how lethal that Seahawks defense is.
Yeah, and again, it's difficult for people to see that when they look at the game against Denver and like, well, he only played 4 snaps. But the games before, he was getting carries in those games. And again, I just think it probably was the weather, the nature of the game where they were just being conservative and saying, look, we don't think Denver's going to do anything on offense, so let's just make sure we don't make any mistakes, not turn it over, and just put them in bad field position and make Jarrett Stidham do something which he couldn't do. I mean, we did see Anderson get 10 touches and 13 touches in the previous 2 playoff games. So I think we're going to see more in that range. I think the hope is, too, that somehow he can break a big play. So, I would think that he plays a bigger role in this game than we saw last week because, again, I just don't think Stevenson, if you're handing it off to Stevenson 20 times in this game, I don't think that's going to translate to success against this Seahawks defense.
Well, like we said, he doesn't have the burst like Henderson does. That's what we looked at in fantasy drafts before the year even started. We knew, and we've seen it. He can break away for those long runs, and it can be in an instant. So that is one of the things for this team that I think this weekend they would need to focus on. And when we're looking at the wide receiver position, seriously, Adam, it's JSN and it's everyone else. If we're talking about an X factor, I really want to know who you think it could be. For some people playing in the DFS streets, looking at guillotines, because Jaxon Smith-Njigba has a projected 15.9 fantasy point median. Xfinity best is sitting at 23.3. The next closest, Stefon Diggs, 8.1 fantasy points. 12.9 is his Xfinity best score. He's not even cracking 15 fantasy points when we're looking at our projections. So it's JSN, Stefon Diggs, then it's Kayshon Boutte, then actually it's Cooper Kupp, and then Rashid Shaheed. Those are the top 5 in projected fantasy points for this game. So again, an X factor is going to have to emerge. I wouldn't be shocked if it is Stefon Diggs being on this stage, having the veteran presence there, but Kayshon Boutte has stepped up as well.
You set me up there, but Boutte is always an X factor for me.
Get out of here. Is that what we're going to do all week? Is that what's going to happen? Seriously?
It's Super Bowl week. I got to be in the best form.
Oh, my gosh. All the Boutte jokes. I get it. I did set you up for that. Again, projections live at Fantasy. That wasn't even, what are we doing here? Didn't even give any insight. FantasyLife.com for those projections. We're going to go to the water cooler. All the news and notes that you need to know coming up here next. Live from San Francisco, and so excited to be with you guys here on this Monday morning. As always, appreciate you hanging out with us right here. Fantasy Life on Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio. Kendall, Valenzuela, Adam Ronis with you. People are playing basketball behind me, Adam. If you hear that noise, that's, by the way, no, I know what my limits are, and you would, if we went and played basketball together, you would absolutely annihilate me, for sure.
Without even seeing me play or knowing how I am?
But you tell me sometimes that I'm really overconfident, and I am very confident. But if it's basketball, I think you have the edge there.
I don't know if there's anything.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not great at basketball.
Oh, well, then never mind. I'm going to school you.
Oh, now you feel better?
Never mind. I don't know why I thought you were good at basketball. Why did I think that?
Nah, that's not my sport.
Well, then never mind. Yeah, I would absolutely kick your butt. I take it back 100%.
I should have just left it so
you should have.
Yeah,
Dang.
so your confidence was derailed.
What about skee ball? I see skee ball in front of me. I would definitely school you in skee ball.
Really? I don't know about that.
Really?
I doubt that would happen.
All right. Good to know. So if you hear that noise, that's me. It's not Adam getting the balcony work done.
That was me for a long time.
That was
now
you
I'm
for
off
2
the
years.
hook.
I'm not even kidding. Wasn't it 2 years or something like that?
Oh, well, it was a year on my side, but then the other side, I don't know if you heard the other side as much when I was on air, but there was always construction going on.
I like that the people hear the noise in the background right now, though, and they go, "What's going on with Adam's place?" I'm like, "No, actually, it's me."
Jeez.
It's incredible. Okay, we are in the Fantasy Life water cooler, one of our favorite times of the day, because we get to go through all the news and notes that you need to know. Make sure you are up to date on everything that's happened over the weekend. The head coach hirings, GM firings as well. Yeah, there was someone that was fired late yesterday in the weekend. So let's hit it from the top, Adam, and make sure we go through everything that we talked about in the top of the hour. So the Cardinals are hiring Rams offensive coordinator Mike LaFleur. If the name sounds familiar, yes, brothers with the head coach over there in Green Bay. But the Arizona Cardinals obviously were in also with Clint Kubiak. They had the final conversations with him. It looks like he is going to be going to Las Vegas, but this is a team that has a lot of work to do. Again, we'll have to see who he brings in as offensive coordinator and what everything looks like with Kyler Murray. But only 38 years old. We know that while he wasn't calling plays for the Rams, they did have a spectacular season. So I don't hate this hire. It was just one that was late because they wanted in on the Clint Kubiak sweepstakes.
Yeah, and also because they were the last one at the party, had to scoop up what was left over. Let's be honest here. Right? They wanted Kubiak. He's like, well, I'm not coming there. Well, yeah, we love LaFleur. He's our guy.
Yeah, I'm trying to be positive about it, Adam.
I know you usually are. I tend to be more realistic about things.
What's your temperature on this then? Before we move on to the Raiders, Kyler Murray, in your opinion, right now, February? Wow, I was going to say January 31st. Wrong. February. Welcome to a new month. 2nd, is Kyler Murray an Arizona Cardinal in 2026? I
will say no.
Okay, I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
That's not the optimistic side of me. I just think that I don't know who. I don't know. I ask who they would go for, but maybe there's some trades going on or something. But the free agent quarterbacks are not fantastic, so that's the only reason that I say maybe he's going to be able to stick it out in Arizona, because they don't want. Here's the list: Tyrod Taylor, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh, Trey Lance. There it is. Russell Wilson, Marcus Mariota, Aaron Rodgers, and then one Malik Willis that a lot of people think is going to Miami because of Hafley, because Hafley is their new head coach coming from
You left
Green
a
Bay.
big name off the list.
Who?
Phillip Rivers.
Oh, dang it. I forgot about that. Well, isn't he trying to be a head coach or something?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
Buffalo,
What's going on?
and then quickly dismissed.
Yeah, he said, I can't do this. He got the insurance. That's all he needed, right?
Exactly.
That was the joke? He just needed a little bit more. So
Good for
again,
him.
Not good free agent quarterbacks going out there. Maybe there's a trade. Maybe there's something we don't see coming, just like every season that happens, but just something to watch out for. And then again, with the head coaching hires, the Raiders are expected to hire Clint Kubiak as their new head coach. I can't even say it, Adam, because it makes me so sad. So Clint Kubiak expected. Nothing can be finalized until after this Super Bowl. So Clint Kubiak, though, I do think this was a fantastic hire. As sad as I am as a Seahawks fan, he is now off the board. We know that Spytech loved him. We know that Tom Brady loved him, 38 years old. And he's been around, but Seattle ranked 3rd in points, 8th in total yards, tied for 10th in rushing yards, 8th in passing yards, and 13th in offensive efficiency, 15th in EPA. So it was fantastic, and it was a fantastic year. You understand why Clint Kubiak was at the top of probably a lot of people's list, but they didn't want to wait for him.
Yeah, look, it wasn't surprising that Seattle's offense took this step forward. We knew, especially we were looking at the running backs. Again, that's why people were enamored with Kenneth Walker in fantasy, because of Kubiak coming over. Now, unfortunately, it turned into more of a split than many anticipated. But you're seeing now with Walker as the feature back, with Charbonnet being injured, what he can do. So people are going to have that similar optimism for Ashton Genty, who we know is talented, but again, the offensive line there was so bad. So yeah, you figure they'll make moves to improve it, but how much of a step up will it take is the big question mark. And again, the expectation, the number 1 overall pick, Francisco Mendoza, heading to Vegas as well. So a rookie quarterback, tough division. So yeah, the first year could be a bumpy ride. Yeah.
And you know what was so gross that I saw as someone wrote up potential hires for offensive coordinators for Seattle. You know who someone wrote up as the number 1 name? That made me sick to my stomach.
Who?
You want to guess? You don't want to guess?
No.
Arthur Smith. Adam,
I was going to say that, but then I was like, no, he just went to Ohio State, really?
There's rumors that he would come back for that.
Come on.
You know how sick that would make us? What are we going to do?
Oh, that would be brutal.
You know what? If I talk to someone today, I'll say, hey, can we just not with Arthur Smith? Can we X him off the list? We can't do that for us in fantasy. It would be awful.
Definitely would. We don't like that. We don't want to hear those 2 words.
I can't even put it out into the universe because it's just that bad. So we are not going to put it out into the universe, but those were the head coach hirings so far over the weekend. Once that one with the Las Vegas Raiders is complete after the Super Bowl, then everything is going to be done and finalized. The Vikings did fire their general manager, so we'll have some general manager news here in a little bit. But getting into a little bit more of the water cooler here, Adam, I did see a bet. 2 7-figure bets have already been made on the Patriots for the Super Bowl. Do you want to guess how much money people have put on these bets?
I already saw them.
Dang it. All right. Do you want to pretend to guess and then pretend to be right?
Okay. I'm going to say $2 million for one.
Wow. Okay.
And the other one, I would say about $1.2 million.
Wow, Adam. You know exactly what you're talking about.
I just have
I figured you would
an
read that
intuition
already.
for these things.
Gosh, you're so good at guessing. It's fantastic. But yeah, $2 million and $1.2 million have been. So these were placed though on the Patriots. That's the interesting thing because the Patriots, Adam, we don't usually talk about them being underdogs, and they are in the prime position this week. Did you see that ESPN graphic? I'm a little bit nervous now. Every single prediction from ESPN has them taking the Seahawks. Don't love it.
Trust me, we've seen this so many times. Whenever you see these predictions before the game and every analyst is on one team, usually the other team wins. So that's the way it feels to me that many people are picking Seattle, but yet this line is not moving. And we do see some money coming in on New England. Now, these were on the they were plus 4.5, right? This wasn't money line.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that I can understand because even you could take the Patriots plus 4.5 and think, all right, yeah, Seattle's going to win, but it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a field goal game, a 4-point game, a 2-point game. So I can see that. But you still have to be pretty confident if you're putting that much money on the the Patriots to cover.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah, I think I've said it, that this is the toughest defense that the Seahawks have faced in the postseason. They got a San Francisco team that was absolutely decimated by injury, and somehow the Eagles could not take advantage of it. But we pretty much knew that they were in big trouble, and they were. I mean, the game was over really quickly anyway. You had the Shaheed kickoff return, then the 4th and 1 play that Seattle stopped them, and it was over. But San Francisco's defense was a problem with all the injuries. And then you got a Rams defense that was not good towards the end of the season, especially in the secondary. And Smith-Njigba was wide open. Now, you have 2 weeks here to prepare for these teams. So New England, who has been really good defensively. You could also point to the other side and say, well, it's not like New England has faced these potent offenses. They got Justin Herbert and a bad offensive line, C.J. Stroud, who was just trying to give it away to the other team on almost every drop back, and then Denver with a backup in Jarrett Stidham. But still, they've really stepped up defensively in the playoffs, and Vrabel's a good head coach. And again, the 2 weeks to prepare makes things interesting. That's why you see these teams coming up with these trick plays, and
exactly
different things will occur. But yeah, I mean, I could see why people think it will be a close game at least, because again, this is the toughest task that Seattle has faced from a defensive perspective. And if New England can stop the run early and put it on the shoulders of Darnold, again, he was great last week against the Rams. There's no doubt about that. But we all see when he is under pressure, it's a different outcome. And that's what New England's going to try and do, is try and limit the run game, take away those big plays, make Darnold beat them. And they better be coming up with a plan, too, for JSN. I mean, we know he's pretty much been unstoppable this year, but you cannot do what the Rams did last week.
Oh, my God. Well, I'd be fine with it, actually. I think they should totally I think they should go play for play with what the Rams did 2 weeks ago and just say we need to copy and mimic that, for sure. But I mean, listen, you're right that 2 weeks is a long time to prepare. And we know that these teams are going to come in hungry because, listen, it's the Super Bowl. One of the fun facts I saw when looking through everything yesterday was that Vrabel and McDonald are the first defensive head coaches in the Super Bowl in 7 years, Adam. So we've talked about how defense can win championships, all of that. It was reflected this season, but the last 6 Super Bowls, we've seen Andy Reid 5 times. We've seen Kyle Shanahan twice. We've seen Sean McVay and Nick Sirianni twice, Zach Taylor as well, all offensive-oriented coaches. So we know these defenses are going to come to play on Sunday. That's what I'm excited for.
Yeah, I mean, that's been the strength of the Patriots here in the postseason. And, Seattle, obviously, their defense wasn't great against the Rams, but that's a prolific offense. And that's the one offense that Seattle has had trouble slowing down. But we know the talent level on the Seahawks defense. And New England's offensive line has been an issue, especially that left side, as we've seen Drake May get sacked 5 times in all 3 postseason games.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be a fun week. I am live here in San Francisco, so we'll see who we can get while we are live on Radio Row. But we are in the water cooler right now. FantasyLife.com is where you can go to sign up for that newsletter. Did you see the news, by the way, about the NFL's international games? We've been getting some updates on that today. So the NFL in 2026 will have games in Paris, France, Melbourne, Australia, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. I know Adam wants to go to that one. Munich, Germany, Madrid, Spain, 3 games in London. And then you know what they did to us, Adam? They said, and potentially more. I think they're going to add 2 or 3 more games. That is crazy. I love it, but that's a lot of international games.
You do love it?
I think it's fun for people. Yeah. I like people being able to go, that don't usually get to, and, spreading it out around the world. I think that's pretty cool. For us getting up early, not necessarily fun.
Well, even worse for you, because most of the time it's 6 a.m. on the West Coast. For me, I have been up because of doing the Sunday show at 7 a.m. Eastern, which you bailed on this year, but it's all good.
I didn't bail.
I know. I'm just kidding.
I needed some sleep.
Yeah.
I needed the 3 a.m. wake-up call was a little bit brutal, Adam. I do have to say. It was tough. I was going to bed. You know what time I was going to bed last year on Saturdays? 7:30.
That's absurd.
I'm surprised
just
I was able to do
a little bit earlier than your normal bedtime.
Yes, just a little bit, like 30 minutes, but
I
still
think
30
we're
minutes.
overdoing it with these international games now. I mean, it's just too much at this point.
3 in London, so that would be
like
3.
the thing no one talks about. You're taking away home games from these teams here,
and the product. When have we ever seen the product be amazing either? You know, when they're doing home game or when they're in international games, we always say to ourselves, we have to be a little bit careful. Like, you don't get the Kenneth Gainwell games. That game was insane for him when it was Jaylen Warren that was scratched really early before that game, like 10 minutes. But you don't usually get those big powerhouse games from those teams on those international games.
That Denver Jets game was one of the worst games this year. So, yeah, you know, especially now, too, where, you know, you're playing on Sunday and then the next week you're playing internationally, and some teams travel early, some do it Friday. So there's a lot of factors that go into it. But, I mean, I'd have to, off the top of my head, I think you're right that the play is definitely not as crisp. It's not as good. So I think that is a factor. And then some of these teams don't even take the bye week coming back. They leave it up to them. So
which is dumb. Just take the bye week after you come back, because it's, if I remember correctly, teams that play internationally get to choose if they want the bye week immediately after. And so if you see teams that don't, you can't say, oh, well, that's unfair, because the coach has decided on that.
I could understand if it's early in the year. Like, I wouldn't want my bye early in the season. Like the week 5, 6 bye, I wouldn't want that. I would want it in the middle of the season or the latter part, so I can understand that. But, yeah, I just think we're overdoing it now. It's fine if you want to do a handful, but what are we going to have? We're on pace to have an international game every single week of the season.
I think we're at 8 right now if it's 3 London games and the locations that I just said. So again, Paris, the exciting one, the new one is Paris. So they're going to host their first NFL regular season game in 2026. So we already got news that the Saints are actually one of the teams that are going to be there. So it's the Saints and obviously one other team that we don't know.
Yeah, say the Rams in Australia too is one of them.
Oh, is it the Rams?
Yeah, in Australia.
Nice. I want the Seahawks to go, and then you won't see me for the 5 days, because I want to go. That would be fun. Australia, you know what time it is in Australia right now? 3:15 in the morning.
Yeah, that's a long flight too.
Oh, that is a long flight. I've not been there. I've not even come close. Yeah, no, not even come close. So, new internet. The Rams, really? That's fun. If the Cowboys go somewhere, are you going to go? No.
I would like to. I need to get to Dallas first. Still haven't been there.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you have to do the stadium tour too. I've heard that's amazing.
Yeah, I did the one for Las Vegas. That was
that's on my list. My mom lives there, and we haven't gotten over there, but I've heard it's incredible.
It is. I loved it.
Dang. Yeah, you need to get over to Dallas for sure, because that one you can do year round too, right? You can just go whenever.
Probably. I mean, but I want to go there for a game. I've spoken to a couple people who have been there, and they said it's amazing.
You should.
Now, if we can just get the team to be amazing, that'll be another story.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to a postseason game, but you can go to a regular season game.
Taking shots. Cool.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It was right there. Come on.
I got the Sam Darnold
It was just like the
ammunition
Boutte
loaded up.
jokes. It was right there. Come on. You already said he was seeing ghosts. By the way, over my left shoulder, because there's a huge sign of Sam Darnold right there. I'm telling you, he's looking right at me. If I could show you, I'll send you a picture. If I could show you, he's telling me everything that's going to happen on Sunday. It's all good things.
He's saying, don't worry, we got this.
Yes, exactly. He's whispering. He's like, don't worry. There's no ghosts. I don't see him anymore. Please, I'm really hoping so. The last piece of news here that I just wanted to hit in the water cooler is that Drew Petzing is expected to call plays in Detroit. Adam, I wanted to bring this up only because we have talked so much about when Dan Campbell took over as the play caller for the Lions and what that did for one, especially Jameson Williams. So now that Drew Petzing's coming in, he was the Cardinals offensive coordinator. He's replacing Morton, but now that he's coming in, they have announced that he is going to call plays. So I don't know if that's going to leave people a little bit nervous. I still think the Lions are going to be one of the most expensive teams to draft in 2026, just because we know what their ceiling is. And in fantasy, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown, it's Jahmyr Gibbs. Jahmyr Gibbs is my RB2, just behind, obviously, Bijan Robinson, because it feels like David Montgomery is going to be out of there. The rumors are that he is, he just wasn't necessarily happy with the workload that he had last season, which is understandable. But again, Drew Petzing calling plays for this Lions offense. That's big news.
Yeah, it is. And, Jameson Williams was obviously someone this year that it was really bad early on. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, towards the end of the season, he really came on strong and went off as they made it more of an emphasis to get him the football. So it did occur, though, with Sam Laporta out, too. So we do have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But we also said last year, you were going to get disappointments among that Lions offense. You had all these guys going so early. Obviously, Montgomery disappointed. Laporta got injured. And then J-Mo got off to the slow start. But we did see J-Mo finish the year strong.
Yeah, so we'll see. Again, Adam, though, we're going to have the same thing. They're going to be expensive. Every single one of them, and then we're going to say one of these guys, if not two, is going to be the odd man out. And our guess is that it's not going to be Amon-Ra St. Brown, because we know what he brings every single year. So we'll see where their prices end up when these drafts really do get started. But that was the Fantasy Life water cooler. Again, fantasylife.com. That's where you can go sign up for that newsletter, 100% free. Same with our articles, free as well. Our projections for the Super Bowl are live if you want to go see some of those, and fantasy point projections, everything that you need to dominate the DFS streets, your guillotinis. Head over to fantasylife.com. We're going to go through some factors that's going to determine this Super Bowl. I want to know the X factor for each team. I want to know what you think Sam Darnold is going to look like. Can Drake May get back together with how he looked in the regular season? We're going to break it down here. Coming up next. Adam, I couldn't find Folgers this morning. It was so disappointing.
Blessing in disguise.
No, it was not.
So what kind of coffee did you have?
I've got a Starbucks right next to me. Venti. Vanilla latte. Okay. Absolutely brutal. Couldn't find Folgers.
Sucks?
No, it's great. I just wanted
you
my
just said
Folgers.
Absolutely brutal, though.
Yeah, it's brutal because I don't have my Folgers. I mean, if it was my choice, you know, I might. There's a Target right across from me. You think they would? If I come into Radio Row and I say, "Do you guys? Can you guys brew this? Do you guys have
I think
a
they'll
coffee
look
pot?"
at you like, "Okay,
and they're
sure."
gonna say, "Wow, she wants Folgers." No, we don't have a coffee pot here. Thank you, though. Yeah, it's probably not gonna work out. But I'm gonna find some Folgers. Don't you worry. Here, I am live though in San Francisco. So if you hear all the noises, it's not Adam's balcony getting replaced anymore. It's just, you know, people coming in. And you know, Adam, as we were here last year, as the week goes on, it gets more and more crazy. So I'm waiting to see if I can just like pull people that are walking by, if I recognize them, and be like, "Hey, come talk. Do you want to talk to Adam Ronis?" And they're gonna be like, "Heck yeah, I do." And be like, "Yeah, let's go."
Yeah, that's the hope, but also it is pretty early there, right?
So you know what? There's not a lot of people.
Well, it's also the first day, too.
Yeah, I think by Wednesday it might be, but 8:30, people are still setting up a little bit. Yeah. Again, Sam Darnold is over my left shoulder. I've got the Madden simulator in front of me. By the way, it predicts a Seahawks win, making me a little bit more nervous here. But yeah,
you said it was 23-20 was the prediction?
23-20 was the prediction from the
those
Madden
big
simulator.
Ticket bets will cash then. They would cover the 4.5.
I mean, we've talked about the line on this game a lot, and for as many people that believe that the Seahawks are going to win, it has not moved that much. And so I think when we're looking at this game, obviously, you know, there's a lot to talk about with Sam Darnold. There's a lot to talk about with, you know, what JSN is going to look like. But my big question, Adam, is, you know, not only who's going to be the X factor, but can they contain? The one thing that they need to do, the Patriots, is containing Jaxon, Smith-Njigba, because that's going to be, I mean, obviously a huge X factor for Seattle. There's a lot of them, but if you're able to contain JSN, and this is a really tough defense, we've been talking about that with the Seattle Seahawks going up against this team. It's going to be tough, but JSN has dominated what we've seen. Led the league, 1,793 receiving yards. He accounted for 46.2% of Seattle's total yardage through the air in the regular season, and he was dominant in the NFC Championship game. 10 receptions, 153 yards, and a touchdown. That is absolutely something very obvious that they cannot do. They are going to have to find a way to contain JSN, make Sam Darnold, you know, have to make throws to Cooper Kupp, Rashid Shaheed getting involved. Like, they're going to have to make this team uncomfortable.
Yeah, that is absolutely key. It's easier said than done, right? We all can sit here and be like, how do they let Jaxon Smith-Njigba get wide open? Why is it there more coverage on him? So we all see it. Now they have 2 weeks to implement this plan because they really do. You have to make others beat you. Make Cooper Kupp, Rashid Shaheed, A.J. Barta. Make them beat you. And if they do, hey, you tip your cap. But you got to try and do what you can to limit the big plays, JSN, at least. You know, he's going to catch his passes. We know that. The key is just disrupting Darnold. You know, hopefully you can do it without the blitz, but you got to find a way to just put him under pressure. So to create some confusion, to create some chaos, to get him out of structure. I mean, that really is the key. And, you know, that's going to be a big difference in slowing down the Seahawks offense, which, again, Darnold played great against the Rams, but different defense. The Rams defense just was not good down the stretch, and it's not surprising that Seattle had that much success. It's going to be more of a challenge here against this New England defense.
And those two teams know each other so well.
Yeah.
I mean, my favorite thing is that you said it a couple weeks ago. You play that game 10 times, it's 5-5.
Yeah, I have no doubt about that. I mean, I think those teams are that close. 100%. We saw it, right? Going into the postseason, they were separated by 1 yard and 1 point in the 2 regular season games. And that was another tight game where Rams could have won if things went differently. That punt, muffing that punt.
Oh, yeah.
That was massive. I know the Rams immediately went down the field and scored, but that was just massive. You gave Seattle such an easy opportunity. And then before the half, you left time on the clock, and Darnold throws that great pass down the middle of the field. So, all those little things add up. And if one of those things doesn't go the way of Seattle, maybe the Rams win the game. And we could say that in the regular season games too. So, those teams were very evenly matched. There's no question about it. I don't think we see as many points in this game.
Yeah, I agree. And listen, the Patriots have a secondary that if we're talking about playmakers, they've got guys. It's not like they don't. And so we know that Christian Gonzalez is going to be big in this game. Carlton Davis has been reliable. Honestly, Adam, I think when I was looking back through just the playoffs and what we've seen, the way that the Patriots can win this game is if they mimic and they play the way that they did against Houston. And it was rattling C.J. Stroud. It was us seeing C.J. Stroud not being able to get anything done, intercepting him 4 times. I know it's a completely different offense. The Seahawks offense is way better. They didn't have Nico Collins. He was out with a concussion. But they were pressuring him. He had terror in his eyes. And so that was a great game for them. And they're going to have to do that again, at least to start to slow Seattle's receivers down. And it's not just JSN. I mean, we know Rashid Shaheed is locked in if he wants to and if they need it for a big play. We know that Cooper Kupp, inside short yardage plays has been there. So that's the one game that I looked at and I said, okay, they look dominant. Obviously, Texans offense was not good during the regular season. They weren't good during the playoffs, but that is something that they can mimic a little bit.
Yeah, and obviously the run game is massive. And I think even if they do slow Walker down on the ground, you can get him involved in the passing game. And that's where New England can be a little weak against those pass-catching running backs because, with Milton Williams back, they've been really good. So they typically don't allow running backs to get 50 yards, what Milton Williams has played this year. So if they can slow Walker down, that's big. Then you put the pressure on Darnold. But I think Walker still plays a big role then in the passing game. That's what's going to happen if they are successful in limiting the runs of Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I definitely think Kenneth Walker, we continue to see what he's been able to do because, I mean, he's been their X factor. If we're talking, he's been the obvious one, though, because he's just really been able to get things done. We've talked, though, Adam, about just the game plan and stuff. And on the other side, when you look at the Patriots, their strongest edge is outside the tackles. So when we've seen Kenneth Walker go in and then bounce outside, that's something that he just cannot do this weekend. And he has averaged 7.2 yards per carry inside the tackles since week 16, and 4.5 yards per carry on the outside, which still is absolutely, it's not just 4.5 yards per carry. That's a lot still. But he's going to have to be good. And I think they give him that big workload because, again, I think plans were changed when Zach Charbonnet went down. And I don't know, though, Adam. I still think that this might have been what they waited for. Do you think if we saw Zach Charbonnet in the last couple of games that Walker would have still gotten that 20-carry workload, or do you think it would have been closer to split?
Nah, it would have been closer to a split. It's something that they did all season long. It was working. And, look, we talked about it earlier in the year. The reason why – now, again, I didn't draft Kenneth Walker anywhere. So it didn't really affect me. I think I did get him in best ball, but I didn't get him in redraft. I did like him going in the year because, again, with Kubiak there and his talent. But we did hear whispers at the beginning of the season that Walker was dealing. Was it a foot injury in the preseason?
Yep.
Right? It was a foot, right?
Yep.
So we started
injury.
to hear that this could be more of a closer split. So I had more Charbonnet than Walker. But when we were looking at Charbonnet early in the season, like, it didn't make sense because he was not efficient at all. He didn't look as good. And it's like the numbers were good because of the touchdowns. But we have to be fair, especially in the second half of the season. Charbonnet looked a lot better. He was more efficient. Oh, yeah. He had 2 of his better games to close the regular season against Carolina, 18 for 110, 2 rushing touchdowns, 17 for 74 with a touchdown against San Francisco. So he started to look a lot better. So if a running back's going to look that good, you can't really argue. Earlier in the season, we had major arguments to make because Kenneth Walker would have this big, long run for like 30, 40 yards inside the 15 and immediately get pulled. And I do think that it's tough for a running back to get in a rhythm when you're in and out of the game like that, especially when you're removed near the goal line. So I think it would have been similar for sure because, again, Charbonnet, especially with the way he closed this season, and even that game against San Francisco where he got hurt, I had the over on his rushing yards prop. So, yes, I was pissed off when he left the game with injury. He would have went over. It was like in the 40s. I forgot what number I had it at. It was definitely in the 40s. So he had 5 carries for 20 yards early in that game. So he was definitely going to go over. So, no, I think it was definitely going to be a split for sure because it was working. That's what got them there. And I don't think that was a situation that you were going to change. It was a very good combo, especially late in the year when Charbonnet looked a lot better. Because early in the season, Charbonnet just looked sluggish.
Yeah, definitely. I've got Kenneth Walker. This is overall rankings for 2026. I put him at RB18.
The problem is, ranking him now is very difficult because we just don't know where he's going to be. Now, we can assume, and many of us now are like, well, Seattle's going to make it more of a priority to sign him since Charbonnet is injured and is going to miss probably most of the season. So, because I think before that, a lot of people probably felt like, he's going to walk, was gonna go. Right? Because he probably wants to go somewhere where he can be the feature back. So,
but now,
that's the tough part with doing some of these rankings now, because we know a lot of movement's going to happen. So, that's fair at this point, but he might be a guy that moves up.
You know who's ahead of him by 1? My guy. Remember? Cam Scatterbo.
Oh, I'm surprised you don't have Scatterbo at 10.
I had him at 1, and then I had to rein it in a little bit and say to myself, Kendall, you can't have Cam Scatterbo 101, not yet. That's for later down the line, but I did put him at 17.
Yeah, I heard that you handed in the rankings. He was 1, and the editors were like, "Is this a mistake?"
Dwayne McFarland called me. He said, "Kendall, listen, we got to change this. It's messing up the consensus ranks." I said, "Fine, I'll put him back down to 17." We can't forget about Cam Scatterbo. I'm gonna let you know, Adam. We can't forget about him.
I think everyone is gonna be excited about him. Especially this Giants offense, too, assuming you get Malik Neighbors back. And again, when we saw Scatterbo last year, it was good for fantasy. I mean, he was going to turn in, if he had finished the season, he would have been one of the best values. I think people who had him. Yeah, people who had him where they drafted him were like, you see him go out when he finally gets the big workloads. And he was producing, getting it done in the passing game, on the ground. So, I think people are going to be really excited for him this year.
That team, I think that whole team is going to be trendy. I might be priced out. Like when we're looking at Jaxon Dart, when we're looking at Malik Neighbors, if he tells us that he's going to be good to go, like that's going to be tough because we might be priced out of those guys. But it's going to be fun. So again, my rankings are live at fantasylife.com. You guys can go and check that out. Newsletter 100% free over there as well. Speaking of though, Adam, I want to see if I know you. I know you, but I want to see if I know your potential my guys for 2026. It's way too early. We understand that, but that's the fun in it. We're going to go through our potential my guys, not official, but I want to see if I got maybe some of Adam's for this coming season. We're going to break it down here coming up next.
It's been 30 years since the Cowboys last made the Super Bowl. Meanwhile, Kendall's Seahawks are playing this Sunday. Here are Adam Ronis and live from Radio Row, Kendall Valenzuela.
Adam, I did not write that. I swear. They asked me. I said, no, don't do that to Adam. Wow, shots fired. That's probably Ani.
Insane.
If I had a bet, that was Ani. Don't you think?
Tim said he didn't write it.
I don't. So Brendan. Producer Brendan.
I
what are we
think
doing?
It's more Ani. Okay.
Yeah, I think. Oh, he said not me.
It was probably Ani, but look.
Brutal. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it sucks. Look, I don't need a reminder.
They said the Cowboys aren't there. We said we know.
That's why fantasy football and betting is the way for me to get victories, because I know my team is not going to get there, and I have to just relive the 90s when I saw 3 Super Bowls.
I kind of love that. Dust
well,
off
of
the
course
VHS.
you do, because your team's playing there this week.
You hear my joke? I said dust off the VHS tapes to watch the Super Bowls.
That's not funny.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Wow, that is so messed up.
I'm sorry. That's pretty funny. I did not hear that before we got here. That's hilarious. I mean, not for you, but for us, pretty funny. I'm sorry. But you get to root for the Seahawks this weekend. It's basically the same thing.
It's another painful reminder of how brutal it has been to be a Cowboys fan. I love when people are like, oh, yeah, front runner. It's not true.
No,
they haven't won in a long, long time.
They played better than people expected this year.
I don't care. I'm not here for moral victories.
I know. Well, at least you have the Mets.
Actually get. Well, the Mets have at least been in the World Series. But
no, I know. The Mets are good. I can't talk.
We'll see. Well, they still have the Dodgers to overcome. And they still have to win the division.
Yeah. Well, good luck. Yeah. It's that was hilarious, though.
You got to enjoy it whenever your team gets to a Super Bowl, because I was going to say it doesn't happen often, but if you're a Patriots fan,
it's
like
been
Tim,
6 years.
You're
Jeez,
like,
Tim, how are you doing?
This is home for them. So
that's all they do is win Super Bowls. It's really I don't So you've got 6-year-olds, 5-year-olds that have never
it's been a struggle for those kids. In
exactly.
New
They're
England.
like, wow, the Patriots stink. Mom and Dad, what are we supposed? Are you sure we want to cheer for them? Yeah, you're sure. They're good. All they do is win. Except for this weekend. Not this weekend.
Yeah, it would be crazy if they win again.
I don't think it would be crazy, though. I'm
saying I'm not saying it would be a monumental upset. I'm saying the path of what the Patriots had with Brady, all that success, and then all of a sudden now they have Drake May, who in his second year is taking the team to the Super Bowl. And yes, I understand the schedule and all that. I don't really want to hear it. They got here. They did what they had to do. Yes, it was a weak AFC, but they got through it. And now one win away from people will still knock them. If they win the Super Bowl, they're going to say, look at the path to get there.
We can't talk about the schedule anymore. If you're doing that, you just look a little bit jealous. I'm not going to lie to you. The schedule is the schedule. So many teams year in and year out have the easiest strength of schedule, and we don't see them do anything with it. And I know it could be, the Saints or the Panthers. I get it, but they still have it, and they don't do anything with it. The Patriots had an easier strength of schedule in the 2025 regular season. And then let's look at the defenses that they faced throughout the postseason, because it was not pretty. But they got wins. They got wins against really good defenses. And you're looking at them going up against when we're looking at the Texans, when we were looking at Denver, and now they're playing Seattle. Like, those are no laughing matter when we're talking about defenses. So we can't talk about them any other way than that they deserve to be here. And that's definitely true for them.
I think the other thing is there were no good teams this year. It's just one of those seasons. We just didn't have a lot of good teams. So it was really difficult to get impressive wins because, who was really that good? I mean, Denver was 14-3, and everyone was knocking them. I mean, Jacksonville was 13-4. They got hot late. Seattle was 14-3 in a very tough division. But you can even look at Seattle. You could look at Seattle's schedule and say, okay, yes, they beat the Rams, right? That was.
Okay, whoa, wait a second.
No, I'm serious, but I'm being serious. But the whole point is there's not a lot of good teams. But if you look at the Seahawks schedule, where's the impressive wins in there?
It's the division. It's getting out of the division. I think that's what's impressive.
Okay, but they split with the Rams in the regular season. They split with San Francisco, and the second time they faced San Francisco was a decimated team in the last week of the regular season, right?
Yeah, the 13-3 game.
Yeah.
I mean, they just weren't good. Their defense, they didn't have a defense. They faced the Colts without Daniel Jones. No, there were no dominant teams this season. It was 26-0 against the Vikings.
We can go through every team's schedule, and you're just going to be like, where are the impressive wins? You're going to find a couple because there weren't a lot of good teams this year.
Exactly. So it's not a knock on any team going to the Super Bowl. I can tell you that because my team's there. But it's just one of those things where, again, Adam, too, I'm really curious for us next season. Do we see a dominant team again? does some team really take that leap, or are we going to have the same season where we're talking about Jacksonville going, where we're talking about, the Houston Texans just sneaking in? Because again, I thought some of the most dominant teams were the Rams and the Seahawks. And I think that, those are two really good teams, but across the NFL, it's going to be the same question of, do we have, and I think the quality of play steps up next season. I think this might have just been an outlier kind of season, but it was really fun for us too. Like any given Sunday, Adam, anyone could go in there and upset and win. So that was the fun part. But I think we get back to some dominant teams, but not across the NFL.
The top 3 teams in point differential this year were Seattle, the Rams, and New England. They all made the Final Four. Again, New England was plus 170 in the regular season. Doesn't matter what the schedule is. They went undefeated on the road, and they won the division by 2 games over Buffalo, who is everyone's pick to potentially make it far with Josh Allen and that path they had in the AFC. I think that's why it was so frustrating for the Bills that the path was there this year with Josh Allen, with no Lamar Jackson, no Mahomes. That's why, And then you turn it over 5 times in that game.
You can't win a game like that.
No.
I mean, you just can't. You could.
Unless you play the Texans.
They were dang
you can
close,
turn it over 5 times if you play the Texans.
The Texans. What are we going to do? It's just bad. It's just bad. CJ Stroud has to be better than that, right? See, I like the benefit of the doubt, and then you come in the back of my mind and you're like, no, they could actually just be showing us who they are. And I say, you're right, fine.
Yeah, it has not looked good since his rookie year.
I really want to believe he can get back to that, because he was someone I was also looking at really quickly here, and it obviously didn't come to fruition yet, but he was someone I was looking at saying to myself, okay, if we're talking about quarterbacks that go way late in the draft that could outperform their ADP, like how we've had the conversation with Jordan Love potentially being that guy if he gets a few more of the reps as the season goes along, because he had the 7th fewest pass attempts in the NFL last season. But then I was looking at CJ Stroud and I just had to shake my head and say, no, I can't rely on that. That's not a bet I'm willing to make.
Yeah, because again, if you have a defense like that, you're not going to ask your quarterback to do a lot. It makes no sense.
No. Yeah, it makes no sense. So we'll see. Again, rankings are live at fantasylife.com. We'll go through the potential my guys for 2026. I want to try and guess some of yours, see if I've got them right. We're going to do that here. Coming up next. Yes, I am live here from San Francisco. So excited, so happy to be here from Radio Row. Adam didn't miss his flight. Don't worry. I got a couple messages about that. Adam snowed in. Adam didn't make it. I said, don't worry. He's here. Just not here. He's good.
Yeah, I'm here for the shows. I will never miss them, but I didn't get an invite.
Oh my gosh. By the way, everyone, it's not true. It's not true.
Are you sure?
It's not true. Okay. I don't think so. I don't plan these things, though. I'm going to be honest. My flight was 45 minutes from home. It's fantastic. Right up the street.
Yeah, that's a nice, quick, easy flight.
It is super nice here. So speaking of maybe potentially super nice, you're my guys for 2026. Are my guys for 2026. Just like fantasy football is unpredictable, your internet price should not have to be. Lock in fast, reliable Wi-Fi with Xfinity's 5-year price guarantee. Learn more at Xfinity.com. Restrictions apply. Select plans only. What if I give you Joe Burrow? I have a feeling that maybe Joe Burrow is going to be one of your my guys, but he might be going too early. This is the thing where I thought about the price, because sometimes you say, I'm going to get priced out of these guys, and Joe Burrow might be that guy. I've got Jamar Chase as my, wide receiver 1 going into next season. Bijan Robinson, my RB2. Joe Burrow, what do you think about him potentially being a my guy?
He can be. I don't see how you cannot like Joe Burrow, right? The only problem with Burrow is the injuries, which are happening, but in his 3 seasons where he's played at least 16 games, he's had 34, 35, and 43 touchdowns. So if we're getting 16, 17 games from Burrow, I'm pretty sure we're going to get those numbers. We're going to get over 4,000 yards, over 4,500 probably, and we know how good this offense is, and oftentimes they need to be prolific because that defense is horrendous. So, look, if Burrow is going to be, if he's like the 5th, 6th quarterback off the board, I think you have to be open to it. And I think there comes a point, like say it's round 5 and Burrow's there,
immediately.
Right?
It feels,
he could be.
I think people might, I don't know. I'm trying to do a heat check on where he could be going, but I could see some people just saying he doesn't stay healthy, I don't want him. And I completely understand that narrative because it does take Burrow a lot to stay healthy in a season. But then I also look and I say, okay, yeah, he doesn't have the mobility of some of the other quarterbacks that I have ranked ahead of him, right? He's not running like Josh Allen. He's not running like Lamar Jackson, but he's an elite passer, and his offense has so many weapons that we cannot ignore. So when I look at how he plays healthy, right? And that's a big if. 2024, 23 points per game, which was third. 2022, 22.7 points per game, which is fourth. They didn't change anything, right? They brought back Zach Taylor. Like, things are not going to change. This defense could get a little bit better, but Adam, I don't see it making a complete turn and we say, wow, that's a great defense. They're still going to be playing from behind. That means Joe Burrow is going to have to be out there and playing a little bit of Superman to get them those wins. I would definitely be taking him in the 5th round if he was there.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I usually don't take quarterbacks that early, but I think if Burrow is sitting there, that I would take the chance. You just hope that he's healthy. And he finished the year, he came back earlier than anticipated from that turf toe injury that required surgery. And he's just had a lot of different injuries, like the ACL, dislocated finger, MCL sprain, appendectomy, which again just kind of happens. He's had a calf injury, torn wrist ligament. It's just insane, like all the different injuries he's had. So he's healthy right now. That's the most important thing. Let's hope that he gets through training camp. But if he plays 16, 17 games, you're getting elite numbers. Even though he doesn't run, he makes up for it with 35 to 40 touchdowns. Yeah,
exactly. Let me give you one more here because I just want to heat check. Parker Washington. I don't know if he's going to be one of your my guys. That's a tough offense, like we've talked about, to try and just figure out. But it's going to be so important to get those rankings right. I just feel when we're talking about Brian Thomas Jr., if he's on the move, obviously that makes it a lot easier. Travis Hunter coming back. You've got Jacoby Myers there now. Parker Washington, though, was absolutely phenomenal last season. In his 9 healthy games, he averaged 17.1 points per game, 25% target share, and he was a key in their passing attack. I don't know if he's not going to be a lot of people's my guys this year. I would agree with it.
He was so good. He really led teams to championships down the stretch. A lot's going to depend on what they do. We're hearing rumors that Brian Thomas could be traded. We're hearing Travis Hunter might not play as much on offense. So there's a lot to sort out here. But down that stretch, 29 targets over the last 3 games. He was getting open. He looked really good. I know it's only a small sample, but when he got opportunities, he really came through. And I think Jacksonville is pretty high on him.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to continue going through our my guys as the week goes on. And of course, Adam, we're going to give our predictions and everything. My prediction is that I'm going to try and go find some Seahawks tonight. So make sure you guys are giving me a follow at Valenzuela 17 at Adam Ronis, because it is media night, Adam. It's the best part. It's so fun to do
get there early
night.
Like you did last year. Get
2 hours?
Front.
Who should I sit in front for? Jaxon, Smith-Njigba, right?
Yeah.
Got to do 2 hours.
Hopefully he remembers you from last year.
Oh my gosh. I'll say, remember the wings with Adam? He'll be like, oh yeah. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We'll be here the same time tomorrow.